VST2 discontinued. Moreover, within the next 24 months, Steinberg's blah-de-blah-blah will offer VST3 compatibility only. Fair enough, Steinberg, fair enough. Even though I just spent the last 2 years updating my plugins for Apple's code citing and notarization requirements, Apple's depreciation of 32-bit plugins, and Apple's switch from Intel to ARM64, that's not your fault. Besides, how could I ever be mad at my old friend Steinberger? And VST3 came out almost 14 years ago. Yet there are still developers using VST2. For some strange reason. But hey, I can understand where you're coming from. And what's 6 more months of my life spent redoing work I've already done? Really, it's my fault for never adopting your newer format. Even though there's lots of other developers out there who never did. For some strange reason. Well, let's have a look at this VST3 plugin format, shall we? Yes, I like what they've done there. Ooh, that's nice. What's this? MIDI data is no longer passed directly to the plugin, but is instead normalized to a value between 0 and 1. Well, I guess I could just multiply the normalized value by the old range, so I don't have to spend like a decade rewriting all my processing code. Let's see what else is in here. Oh, window resizing. That sounds like fun. And you know what? I bet it'll be super simple to implement. Let's get started making VST3 plugins. Whee! Oh, she's fucking! Whoa! Huh. They want you to use some kind of WYSIWYG editor instead of just programming your GUI like you normally would? Well, that's stupid. Let's get rid of that. Oh, you have to schedule your own MIDI and parameter events now instead of just pulling things off of a serial queue. Well, let's add support for that. Yeah, the plugin format's been needlessly split into separate processor and controller classes. You know, I'm starting to see why some of the developers on the KVR forums are always harping on VST3, but I for one embrace our Steinberg masters. Okay, I built a VST3 plugin. Wasn't the worst port I've ever had to do, I guess. And hey, I got window resizing working. Check it out! Well, that's cool, I guess. Not sure what the other advantages to VST3 over VST2 are, though. There's a bypass pool, which is fine. You can change the inputs and outputs of a plugin in real time. Not sure when you'd ever need to do that, though. Look at me, I plugged in me guitar jack while recording in real time. Well, I guess I'll get started on that 6 months of pointless work. Just like every programmer and every platform and every format ever. Except for maybe embedded systems, if the hardware doesn't change too much. The hardware changes much. Guess I'll write a blog about VST3, seeing as how it's so poorly documented. Dear Mr. Monroe, I have purchased your cockamamie plugin and the GUI does not appear to work in Persona Studio 1.5. Sincerely yours, the Audio Gaucho. Well, that's certainly possible because like a dummy, I did not test in every DAW. I tested in Cakewalk, Cubase, Reaper, Gig Performer, and Ableton. But that's not all the DAWs. Let's have a look. Cheese and crackers, that's not right. Let's debug. Okay, let's see here. Anything out of the ordinary? Oh, what's that? Wants to reset the GUI to 32,767 pixels. Wait a minute, that sounds familiar here. 2 to the 15 minus 1 for 0 indexing. Oh, Presonus, you incorrigible rascals. Also, I know Presonus is a good DAW and lots of people use it and everything, But maybe don't put a number at the end of your version software product, because Persona Studio 1.5, that don't exactly roll off the tongue, if you know what I mean. Anyway, this should be easy to fix.
Hi-ho, the daily-o, we're typing lines of code.
Okay, there we go. Now to test another DOS and make sure that didn't break anything.
What's this? Now Reaper wants to be sassy?
You know, you just can't win when it comes to making plugins. I need to work in like 20 other different pieces of software.
Use the hacks, Adam. Use the hack.
What? Who is that?
I said to use the hacks. The dirty hacks. You stupid asshole.
Okay, I'll use the hacks, the dirty hacks, but let me tell you something. I don't like it. It's like setting a splint on your leg using bubble yum. Now for all you youngsters out there, that's 6 feet of gum, which was mighty impressive back in '93, but it's still just gum after all. Okay, that's working fine now. In fact, it's working fine in Cubase and Reaper and Bitwig and Giggity, Cakewalk and FL and Ableton, and reason I'm not sure because I don't have a license. I gotta get one.
Hello, my name is Adam and I am but a poor, humble plugin software developer. I was wondering if it might be possible to get an NFR license for testing. I would surely appreciate it, as I am but a poor, humble plugin developer. Thanks, Adam.
Well, that's it. I built a VST3 plugin, tested it the best I could, and I think it's working fine. So all that's left now is hundreds, if not thousands of hours of shifting my old code around to get all my other plugins working. After that, off to Apple to redo all that work one more time. And who knows what adventures await me there.
The original promise of software was to do things more cheaply and efficiently than you otherwise could. But if you have to rewrite your code every time Google or Apple sneezes, what was the point? Did you really save anything? Time is a valuable commodity. Life is short and software is fragile. It's all fragile. The universe, civilization, people. But then, why must something created by man also be so? Because this world wasn't created by us and it wasn't made for us. It's for a handful of powerful entities that came before and will remain long after. Steve Jobs is gone and the Woz doesn't design computers anymore, yet Apple still persists. Bill Gates probably hasn't coded in 30 years, yet what these men created stands. It's not like in the early days of the industry when you had dozens of companies doing new and interesting things, each claiming a little slice of freedom. It's mostly locked up now. Even the internet, a nascent industry, has coalesced into a handful of large corporations. As a programmer, you are at the mercy of monoliths, tossing you about on violent, stormy seas, sometimes by scheduled updates to OS libraries in the name of planned obsolescence, sometimes by rewrites of SDKs where perhaps the intention was noble, but otherwise pointless, and the work created for anyone having to adopt them, intolerable nonsense. And then there's the crushing loneliness, the hubris of other programmers, and the invisible nature of your work. Great program code isn't read by as many people as great novels, if it's ever read at all. After a while, one starts to feel like nothing more than a fly, caught in a web.
So you gotta ask yourself, do you want to develop software? Because software development is hell, kids. Back in the 70s, 80s, or 90s, you could have made some fat stacks of cash and some cool things, but every industry coalesces. So nowadays, it might be better just to get a job with one of those FANG companies. Unless, of course, you've got the vision, the the talent and the skills necessary to bring something truly cool into this world. And if that's the case, go out there and disrupt those buttholes. As for me, it's back to chiseling rock in the caves for a few months.